welcome to the July Planning Commission meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order and start with the flag salute. So if I could have everyone stand up. I do have a flag here so we can all have something to look at. All right. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And moving on to roll call. Stephanie?
Thank you, Chair. I'll start with Commissioner Guerrero.
Present.
Chair Sanchez.
Present.
Vice Chair Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Wilbert.
Here.
Commissioner Chang.
Present.
Commissioner Jaramillo.
Present.
Okay. Commissioners Lopez, Quill, and Liang are absent. We have quorum.
Perfect. Thank you, Stephanie. At this time, we will go over a few little ground rules for our meeting. We are going to be doing a roll call vote. We will hear the staff report, which will be followed by public hearing. I will open public hearing. We will hear comments. The applicant will have time then to respond. And from there, we will go down systematically through the ward so that the commissioners can respond to the staff report. We will go a second time around, and if you can just raise your hand if you have something to add, then we can call on you and we can have that added to the report. Does anyone have any conflicts with one of the agenda items tonight? No, I see no hands, so I think we can continue. So we'll have quorum for all of the agenda items. If you do have to take a break, if you could just raise your hand, that way we can note it on record. And I think that is all order of business at this time. So we will go to the consent agenda. Oliver, do you have anything to present to us?
Yes, Commissioners. This evening on the consent calendar, we have the approval of the minutes for our special meeting that was conducted on June the 23rd. They are complete as presented. Thank you.
Perfect. And at this time, I will open public item number 1, draft minutes. Does anyone have anything to add to this? If not, I will close public hearing for this item and I will entertain a motion for this.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read into the record.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Stephanie, we can have the vote roll call.
Of course. Commissioner Guerrero.
Aye.
Chair Sanchez.
Yes.
Vice Chair Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilbert.
Yes.
Commissioner Chang.
Yes.
And Commissioner Jaramillo.
Yes.
The item passes.
All right, going on to public hearing items. The Planning Commission will first hear a report from staff and then the public hearing will be opened. The applicant will have an opportunity to speak. Next, members of the public will be allowed to speak. When your name is called, come forward and speak. After all have spoken, the applicant will be allowed to respond. The public hearing will then be closed and the Planning Commission will begin deliberations and make a decision. All actions except general plan amendments and amendments to the Municipal Development Code are final actions unless an appeal is filed and a fee paid within 15 days to the Community Development Department. If you challenge the resultant action of the Planning Commission in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing described in this agenda, or in written correspondence delivered to the Community Development Department at or prior to the public hearing. All right, and may we have the staff report for, oh, yes, Stephanie.
Real quick, I'm very sorry. I think we have Commissioner Quill on with us, but I'd like to confirm.
Perfect, yes.
Commissioner Quill, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Perfect. I will mark you as being present for the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, sorry for the delay. I lost the connection in my spam somewhere. So anyways, I found it.
Perfect.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Thank you.
If we could have the staff report for item number 2.
Yes, Madam Chair and Commissioners, I'll give a little introduction here during this first slide, and then I will make an introduction afterwards of our consulting team. Item number 2 involves our request for the establishment of vehicle miles traveled, or VMT, thresholds to be utilized for evaluating traffic analysis from here on forward. A few years ago, the legislature signed into effect a law that transformed the way we analyze traffic in our CEQA environmental analysis from level of service to vehicle miles traveled. Later in the presentation, that will be explained to you a little bit. And essentially what we're doing now is the effort after the bill was signed, the local San Bernardino County Transportation Authority, they assembled representatives from all of the member cities, San Bernardino County cities. They put together an exhaustive analysis and kind of put together all the scientific research and background so that the individual cities can then take that package and formulate what they believe would be appropriate for their jurisdiction. We picked a threshold for our significance at the below than existing general plan build out. Again, that'll be explained here in the future. And again, we just so the step from here is we will take recommendations or if the planning commission so chooses to forward this item to the council, that would be on the next I think the August 5th meeting. We will get their input, and then we will from there we will put together thresholds, or excuse me, the guidelines for how these studies are going to be conducted. So for the purposes, we're just introducing the item. Don't worry, there won't be a test on the end, so it is quite technical. But we do have we actually retained the firm of Fair and Pierce. They were actually one of the consulting firms that worked with SBCTA through this whole process. They're assisting several cities, or many cities within San Bernardino County and actually Southern California in this next step. So we're lucky and fortunate to have had them involved in this process. So with that, I like to introduce Delia. She's from Fair and Pierce, and she will be kind of explaining what all this means and the next steps. Thank you.
Great, Oliver, thank you so much. Good evening, commissioners. As Oliver mentioned, I'm sorry, what was that?
Next slide, please.
Oh, yes, next slide, please. Thank you.
Thanks.
As Oliver mentioned, my name is Delia Voch. I'm a professional engineer with Fair and Pierce. We're a transportation consulting firm. And this presentation will cover Senate Bill 743 as it relates to transportation impacts under CEQA. So Oliver mentioned Senate Bill 743, originally signed into law in 2013. There's 3 major goals of this law. They are to promote infill development, promote public health through active transportation, such as walking and biking, and to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So the challenge for lead agencies is to appropriately balance the need of their community, their local goals and values with the need for congestion management and those 3 statewide goals. So SB 743 eliminates the use of level of service, or LOS, in determining significant impacts on the environment. Significant transportation impacts will no longer consider level of service. So we currently use level of service. We look at specific intersections and roadway segments, and we determine if they're operating acceptably or not. And if they're not operating acceptably, the mitigation would typically be to increase the capacity or widen those facilities. So we can go to the next slide, please. So SB 743 eliminates level of service and replaces it with vehicle miles traveled, or VMT, as the new analysis metric for determining impacts on the environment. So as Oliver mentioned, this all gets very technical very quickly, but essentially what happens is that this is going to change where significant impacts occur and the associated mitigation. So significant impacts will no longer occur at those specific intersections and roadways, but will rather occur to the transportation system as a whole. The entire city transportation system is what we'll look at. And mitigations will no longer be focused on intersection and roadway improvements, but rather reducing the number of vehicle trips or the vehicle trip length. So we can go to the next slide. So the city of San Bernardino participated in the study that Oliver mentioned, led by SBCTA. It covered the entire San Bernardino County region, evaluated all the information and options available to San Bernardino County cities. And city staff have taken those recommendations and that information from the SBCTA study and identified their preferred threshold of significance. New traffic study guidelines that incorporate VMT are also currently under development. So the city staff have identified they want the foundation for their threshold to really be in the city's general plan. So of course the general plan reflects all the goals and values of the community and includes all of the planned land use growth and transportation improvements within the city. So moving forward, projects that are subject to CEQA will need to do a VMT analysis, and they would need to generate less VMT per person than the average VMT per person under the city general plan build-out conditions. So that is the threshold that is being proposed, is the city general plan build-out average VMT per person.
Did we lose her?
Oh, can you hear me?
Now we could.
Oh, wonderful. Sorry about that. I don't know where I dropped off. Essentially, I was discussing the threshold itself would be based on the average VMT per person under city general plan build-out conditions. That would be the threshold of significance. Projects would need to generate less VMT per person than that average to have a less than significant impact under CEQA. So the recommendation here is just that that threshold be adopted, the less than general plan build-out average, and that this be the new metric used in all CEQA analysis for transportation analysis moving forward. And with that, I concludes the content of this presentation. Thank you so much for your time. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Delia. If I may, commissioners, I wanted to kind of point out a couple of things. As Delia had mentioned, the level of service, in the prior to this, when we did traffic studies, you may recall we grade intersections or street traffic A through F. This is a grade D intersection, and as long as you stay at D or C or whatever, you're okay. If you go if you go from an existing C intersection to a D as an example, then you have to come up with measures to reduce it back down to C. Kind of like traffic signal modifications, street widenings, turn lanes, those kinds of things. And so the LOS component will still be evaluated as when we go through our general plan consistency. If you as you know, in our staff reports, we put there's a little section that talks about general plan consistency, and we talk about what goals this particular project is consistent with. It's like there's a housing goal, and there's various items that we cover in both our discuss in our staff report, and then we include those in the findings and in the resolutions. We will still be required to do that. So there will still be traffic studies that are prepared, only they will have a different purpose, to serve. As it relates to CEQA, so traffic studies will not be a CEQA component anymore. Instead, it's going to be the VMT analysis, and that's what we're covering here. One of the things that Delia had mentioned in terms of existing conditions and so forth. One of the things that the city of San Bernardino, that we're kind of in an advantageous situation because we have our transit systems. We have the XBX line that goes down East Street, and then we have what they call transit areas, transit corridors. We have our transit district overlays. We have our existing rail stations. We have the one down here on E and Rialto, I guess it is. And so a lot of those things, this program is set up to take advantage of those items. And so the closer that you are to one of these sites or screen out areas, as they call them, you kind of get credit, and it kind of puts you in a lower threshold, and you can keep moving, and there's no impact, kind of a thing. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. Delia also mentioned that as we're going through it's below a general plan build out situation. as you're aware, we're in the process of to initiate updating our general plan. It's going to be a 2-3 year process kind of a thing. And so what the law does allow us to do, this isn't a one-time shot of adopting the thresholds. What will happen is as we update our general plan and go through that process, part of that will be an extensive traffic analysis. And so we will go back through the entire city again and reestablish what the level of services are at all our intersections, our streets, all those things, and create a new build out situation or number for the city. Again, the last general plan was adopted in 2005, and so a couple of things have changed in the last 15 years, and so we'll make those adjustments. And so, in a couple of years, we'll come back, a couple of years or so, we'll come back to the Planning Commission and say, okay, we're going to make these adjustments now that we know where we're going with our general plan and what our build-out situation is. And so, even though we're adopting something now, just want to mention that it is kind of a fluid situation. We do have an opportunity, kind of, if maybe that we missed the boat or something, we can come back and make those necessary adjustments. I just wanted to point that out. I'd be glad to try to answer any questions from there. And Delia is quite capable to answer the technical questions as well. I also wanted to mention that we do have Azam joining us in the meeting. Azam is our traffic engineer with the city. Ultimately, he will be the one that reviews these things and helps us in processing our projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver. Thank you, Ms. Botch. At this point, I will open a public hearing for this item. And I will actually go down the list of commissioners. That way we can each make a comment or ask our questions. Starting with Commissioner Guerrero. Any comments?
Yes, thank you. So we'll be doing this as part of the updating general plan. That's when it'll take effect?
No, it actually will take effect as soon as the council adopts it. If they choose to do so on August the 5th. So it'll be adopted, it'll be in place. They actually, under the law, we did have to, have something adopted by July 1st. We're okay, there's no penalties or anything like that. All it did is after July 1st, we have to, it comes down to when you release a document for public review. And so now when we release an environmental document for public review, it has to have the VMT analysis. Right now we have a few projects on hold waiting for the threshold to be established. And so.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Quill? Commissioner Quill, do you have any comments on this item? As I do not hear from Commissioner Quill, I'll go to Commissioner Jones and see if Commissioner Quill can reconnect.
Oh yeah, I have no questions. Thank you for staff and the consulting firm for all your hard work and moving this forward. Yeah, no, I'm fine. Thank you.
Welcome.
Commissioner Quill, do you have any comments?
No, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. No, I understand what's going on. Thank you.
Perfect. Commissioner Liang has just joined us.
Yes, thank you.
If we could have him noted into the record.
Sorry about that. Sorry, I was late.
Not a problem. Commissioner Liang, did you? Yes, Albert.
Mr. Liang, if you're able, can you change the name that appears for your account? Because right now we have you as Richard.
I'm sorry, were you talking to me?
Yes. Right now we have in your little box.
Oh, yeah.
Just Richard.
I don't know how to change that. My son actually set it up.
Okay, if you don't know how to, don't worry about it.
There we go.
Sorry.
Okay, great.
Rename. You know what? I might be able to do that.
It says Aaron now.
Commissioner Liang, I renamed it for you.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie.
I just did it too.
Commissioner Liang, were you able to listen to the report?
Sorry. I think I missed the report.
Okay. Then we will go on to Commissioner Wolbert. Do you have any comments on this report?
Something totally off the wall. Sacramento, over a period of time, has been trying to come up with an idea or a plan to charge the public for vehicle miles on the road, another tax of some sort. Is any of this kind of tied into that for the future, or I'm just?
Oh, you made it.
No, it is not.
How did I get that volume up?
No, it is not tied in.
There's no connection at all.
That's correct.
Terrific. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, Commissioner Jaramillo. Oh, if you could unmute yourself, you're still on mute.
There you go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. No, I don't have any questions at this time.
Perfect. Commissioner Tang? Do you have any comments, Commissioner Tang?
I have a comment. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I have a question for Delia. Can you tell me what was the LOS level that in your study for this?
Yeah, so level of service is based on the performance of an individual intersection or roadway segment. So the city's current acceptable level of service, and Oliver, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's level of service D, would be the acceptable level of service for intersections and segments operating in the city today. And that is not changing as part of this change. That will continue to be the acceptable level of service. And as Oliver mentioned, it won't be part of the CEQA study anymore, but the city will still study level of service and review that to make sure that that acceptable level of service is continuing on facilities in the future.
So with it being LOSD, how does that incorporate into future growth? I mean, how does that strategically work? Say if our city grows with, increased occupants and more people moving in, and increased traffic, increased transit. And maybe I'm asking a dumb question here. I'm just curious. Like, does it consider also bicycle lane and things like that?
So level of service primarily looks at vehicle delay. So it wouldn't factor in bicycle delay or bicycle facilities. And that's part of the reason why the state mandated the change to the vehicle miles traveled metric, as opposed to the level of service metric, which only looks at vehicle delay. Vehicle miles traveled is a more comprehensive look at the system as a whole. And factors in, how many people are traveling and how far they are traveling, and the way to shift them to transit, to walking, to biking is all part of the goal of this legislation. So in terms of maintaining level of service D, that just allows the existing and any new transportation facilities to operate as such that there is not excessive vehicle delay on those facilities. So that as the land use grows, as there are more people moving into the city, there isn't an excess of congestion. That is what level of service kind of enables. So that will stay as is. There will be no change to the level of service standard or how it is studied.
So this is saying that we're sticking with LOSD for this city.
That's correct.
At this time, like I mentioned earlier, when we update the general plan, the entire street network will be reevaluated, and there's a lot of improvements have happened in the city. In the last 15 years or so, there have been street widenings. There have been signals that have been put in. We are working with SCAG to develop a bicycle lane improvements within the city. We're still trying to kick that off with SCAG. But what will happen is the LOS, it measures the volume of cars that are on there, and so if there's transit alternatives or streets have been widened, we basically measure the carrying capacity of a street intersection. And so, as I mentioned, part of the general plan will be to It's quite exhaustive. So go through, we identify what all the major and secondary arterials are in the city. And then they're basically measured. I mean, there are traffic counts that are conducted. All that goes into a data, and then we will establish or we will present, if you will, what the existing level of service is in today's conditions at these locations, at these studied intersections. From there, our general plan has policies and goals, and so the city council and they may elect, and also based on whatever the planning commission's recommendations are, to lower that acceptable level of service. It doesn't have to be D. A lot of cities have it at C.
Right.
But also keep in mind that I don't want to necessarily shed a bad light. I mean, it does serve a purpose, but obviously, it's if the thresholds are low, if you will, to warrant significant impacts and those kinds of things, what ultimately happens is that you eliminate or reduce the level of development that occurs. And so hand in hand with our traffic analysis, we also will do a land use study. We'll basically, if some of you are familiar with that big colorful map that we have, our zoning map, we will go through areas and identify what the appropriate zones are. Obviously residential areas stay residential, but there's these small pockets of commercial here and there, or industrial that we may change or modify, kind of a thing. And as a result, we will identify for the acreage. I'll just use industrial land as an example. For the we total the total acreage for industrial properties in the city, and then we put together, there's formulas to determine based on this acreage, and we have a build out. If we allow a lot coverage of 50% or whatever, we do the math, and then at the end of the day, this is how much you could build, and then we would then at that point, this is what our build out scenario is. And so in simple terms, I guess if we were to take one piece of property and say that our build out condition for this lot is 100,000 square feet, I use an example of a building. So long that your building is not more than 100,000 square feet, it more than likely will be screened out, and you'll be found to be acceptable. If you go above that, then there's explanations as to why it exceeds it, and what are you going to do to minimize any impacts.
Oliver, just to add to what you commented on the level of service, we still, under that scenario, we still ask for mitigations.
That is
so
correct.
If the intersection is failing, then we can condition the developers to present to us methods improving the congestion at a specific location, signalized intersection, or along a roadway.
That's
still applicable.
That is correct.
That's good to hear. So it'll still be a process. Yeah.
Thank you, Azam. And that, so even though the level of service evaluation is taken away from the CEQA, again, we still have our general plan that establishes a level of service. And so, like Azam mentioned, mitigation is typically, you need to, put in a deceleration lane, add a turn lane, push the curb back a little bit more than what we currently have it at. Maybe a traffic signal or an update to the traffic signal. So we will still have the capability to include. They won't be called mitigation measures per se anymore, because that's more of a CEQA term. It would be a project condition of approval. But it would still serve the same purpose.
Okay.
Any other questions, Commissioner Chang?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Perfect. So I also, reading over this item, I did have a few questions. Even going through the background, it had mentioned removing automobile delay measured by traffic level of service. And I thought that a little odd, since there are quite a bit of delays in traffic, and I didn't realize that, well, it is an environmental impact. However, it was being removed, so I had a few questions on that. But thank you for the explanation. If you could actually describe just a little bit more VMT per person. So it'll be using the census, the amount of people who are of the legal age to drive or have permits. You're going to be going by that and then seeing the impact in each kind of section or secondary routes. Could you explain?
Actually, Commissioner Sanchez, it's actually the number of residents and employees in the city. So both people who live and work, and not just of driving age, but all residents and all employees. So whether they live or work in the city, it is primarily based on census data, you're correct. And it's information that SBCTA manages those numbers and has them in their regional travel model. That's the source of that data that we use.
Perfect. Okay. I was wondering where the numbers were coming from and how that was going to impact and everything and how that would change things. Thank you for explaining that there still is going to be mitigation and that there is still a process. I think that is all the questions that I had. I'll go over once more. Do any of the commissioners have any further comments on this item? I see no hands. So I will close public hearing for this item and I will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion approving agenda item number 2.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Stephanie, if we could have a vote roll call.
Of course. Commissioner Guerrero?
Aye.
Chair Sanchez?
Yes.
Commissioner Quill?
Aye.
Commissioner Liang?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Your vote, please.
Sorry.
Commissioner Liang, are you an aye for the vote on this?
Yes, I don't see where the vote, yes, I am in favor of.
It's a verbal vote.
Oh, yes.
Yes, thank you. Vice Chair Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilbert?
Yes.
Commissioner Chang?
Yes.
Commissioner Jaramillo?
Aye.
Okay, the item passes.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, staff. Thank you, Ms. Mach and Mr. Assam. Going on to item number 3. If we could have the staff report, please.
I believe that is me. With the presentation coming up. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Item number 3 tonight is conditional use permit 20-04 and variance 20-01. This proposal is a request to construct a drive-through restaurant, approximately 2,300 square feet in size. It's on a property located on the northwest corner of H Street and Kingman. This is immediately adjacent to the freeway, just south of the 5th Street Bridge, across the street from the In-N-Out here downtown. It's in the Commercial General 1 zoning district and the Main Street overlay. And this restaurant would be a Panda Express. That's what's being proposed. As part of this application, there is the variance request as well. This is specifically to reduce a drive-through setback lane requirement, which I'll explain a little better on the site plan coming up here. As mentioned, this is located in the downtown zoning district. That's the commercial regional 2. Actually made the mistake on the previous slide. This is the downtown district for all of the properties located within this area. Next slide. Right now, it is a vacant lot, as you can see. It's located just immediately east of the 215 freeway, south of the 5th Street Bridge, right across the street from the In-N-Out and the senior housing project on H Street. This is a picture of the site from the intersection with H and 5th, looking westward towards the corner of the property. From the property, this is the adjacent parcels to the north, also vacant areas, and then the pathway going up the bridge. And then looking east, the property itself would be just on the far right corner of the image, and you can see the In-N-Out across the street. Here's the site plan for the property. You can see the building and the drive-through lane located. On this image, it's the lower left corner, which would be the southeast corner of the property. As I was mentioning, there is a variance request on this. Our code, as it sits right now, does require a 25-foot setback for the drive-through lanes from the curb of this along the edge of the street, not from the property line. Because of the irregular shape of this parcel, in order to maintain the necessary access through for passenger vehicles and emergency vehicles, they did have to push the building up to the corner of the property or closer to the corner. As a result, the drive-through lane is now a little bit closer to the street than the code would require. As it is, it's 25 feet in the code, and they are down to 15 feet on the proposed plan. So they are looking for a deviation of approximately 10 feet on both sides of the corner. It's just the typical floor plan, excuse me, for the project. Slide. These are the elevations for the proposed building. As you can see, this is their newer contemporary design that Panda Express has been going with. This is similar, if anybody's gone by them, to the properties they've recently developed both in Highland off of Baseline and in the new center over in Rialto off of 210. And then just the other elevations for the opposite sides. And our recommendation this evening is just to find the project categorically exempt under CEQA, section 15303 as a construction of small structures. And we are recommending the approval of conditional use permit 2004 and variance 2001 based upon the findings and subject to the conditions. And with that, I'm open for any questions. We do also have the applicant, a representative of the applicant, the architect on the project here. I see him on the meeting, so that I'm complete. Yes, Stephanie.
Chair, we also have a public comment for this item. Did you want me to go ahead and read that into the record now?
Yes, actually, I will open public hearing for this item, and then we will go ahead with that. So at this time, I will open public hearing for this item, and we will listen to public comment, and then we'll have a response from the architect if he wants to add anything to Travis's report.
Thank you, Chair. This particular comment comes from Ben Eilenberg and the property owner. To the San Bernardino Planning Commission, we're the owner of the adjoining property at 444 North H Street. We are the property that will be most impacted by any development of the subject property. We are writing to support the application for a conditional use permit without granting the variance. Instead of the requested variance, we encourage the Planning Commission to consider vacating the Kingman Street easement as previously proposed to us and the city. Vacating this easement will benefit the city and all parties involved. The Kingman Street easement runs between the applicant's property and our property in a very short cul-de-sac street that does not serve any public purpose, as it serves only to provide access to these two properties. When the applicant previously proposed vacating this easement with the city and us, they stated that they would build a wall separating the two properties should the easement be vacated. Vacating this easement would allow the applicant to build their drive-through without any need for a variance, provide a greater barrier between their proposed drive-through facility and our property, and remove an attractive nuisance from the homeless in the area. Vandals use Kingman Street to access the area next to the freeway and from there enter our property, resulting in our property being vandalized on several occasions. This not only causes undue hardship on us, but has expended substantial San Bernardino police resources responding to these many incidences. Additionally, vacating the Kingman Street easement will lessen the financial burden of upkeep and maintenance on the city of San Bernardino in this time of financial crisis without impacting the quality of the community of its citizens. We appreciate that the Planning Commission wants to help develop this area and suggest that vacating the Kingman Street easement is a better option that will further the goals of the development and protecting the city of San Bernardino.
Thank you, Stephanie. So I will go down the line of the commissioners. Prior to starting that, if I could remind everyone, while someone else is speaking, if you could mute yourself, that way you hear the record. Oh, And right on cue, there a dog barked.
I know, that's mine. Sorry.
Quite all right. So if you can mute yourselves, unless you're speaking, then we're in the clear. All right. So starting with Commissioner Guerrero, do you have any comments for this?
As far as the, what is it, the Kingman Street entrance, is that a possible way that we can redesign the drive-through? So I know, just like by experience for the In-N-Out that's on the other corner, I know it backs up onto 5th Street, and now with everything being drive-through only, it backs up onto 5th and H. So is it possible that we can look at a Kingman entrance?
If I may, commissioners, actually that was the first thought. You know, when the item was came forward way back, it's been many months now. That was the initial thought. You know, let's Kingman really does. It doesn't serve too much of a purpose. You know, that it does serve that existing building to the south. There's a small access at the end of the cul-de-sac. Frankly, we had the applicant. They've been attempting to correspond with that property owner and have not had any success, just in communication. So we, their original designs did include incorporating a street vacation. We had analyzed that with the city's Public Works Department. It made sense. We came up with some alternatives as to how that would be done, and the process that we would do. As you are aware, there have been many times that we've come to the commission with a request for street vacations, and we provide the rationale why. So we were lining that up. The challenge was that we were never able to make contact with that adjoining property owner. This is frankly this email that we received today is the first that we've heard from anyone representing that property owner. So that may be something that the commission desires further explore. I know that the Panda Corporation, they are anxious to get this project moving forward. Again, I would recommend that maybe we allow, if I may, allow our recommendation to move forward. And give the opportunity for the applicant to maybe further his conversations. If there is some success in those discussions, negotiations, if you will, we can then consider with the applicant's concurrence, of course, to proceed with the vacation of that, and then possibly a redesign of the project. I will say that if we started today with the street vacation process, it would probably it would easily take 3 to 4 months just to get through the process. Best case scenario, getting to the council for their authorization to proceed with that. Again, I will defer to the representative from Panda. I believe that they are on, if possible, and maybe chime in on that. But like I said, we've frankly, it's the first that we've heard from that neighbor. Thank you.
This is Lucy Gan from Pan Express. May I speak?
Yes, of course.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Oliver, thank you so much for explaining that situation. So I'm the real estate manager working on this deal with the seller, and also I have contacted this property owner probably a couple times, and I wasn't able to reach him. I reached his broker. He had his property on the market. I don't know if this is still on the market for sale. And so I reached out to the broker forwarded the email to him or her, I don't know who that is. And the broker got back to me, said they were not interested. And I asked him, can I speak to the owner directly? And he said that they're overseas and they're not in the country. And I asked when they're going to be back. He said he doesn't know. He said they will usually be there for a few months. So we were never able to engage them We did ask them if they would be willing to do that with us, but they're saying they don't. They just, the broker wouldn't able to make that decision for the property owner, and so that is something that we have been trying to resolve with them. And at this point, we actually need to close this property this Friday. So if we can get confirmation for the entitlement, we will have to either get an extension to close, or we have to abandon this deal. It is unfortunate we don't have a lot of time on this one. So I would ask if the commission, the councilman could consider that urgency for us.
I thank you, Lucy. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, especially since you've done your due diligence and tried to reach out, and apparently they're not even in the country. So that is a little bit of a red flag for me. I went ahead and read through the agenda packet and report, and I mean, I think everything looks good, and I will be supporting this item tonight.
All right. And once again, thank you, Lucy, for your comments. If Commissioner Quill has any further comments on this?
Yes, I do. I really like the idea of vacating Kingman Street. It makes a lot of sense, and it would also take the drive-through away from the front main highway that the Panda restaurant is located on. The other issue is also, as these restaurants start moving in there, there's going to be a proliferation of freeway signs. They're all going to ask for freeway identification. By working with this area on Kingman Street, you could put a joint sign up for In-N-Out Burger, Panda, very much like done down at the BJ Broiler with Fifth Street. Fifth Street is going to be filled up with new businesses that are going to be requesting freeway. That is to use that area for some joint signage and also allow a better flow of traffic through that drive-through. So the Kingman vacating would be excellent if it is possible, or even if we could hold the project to where we get that done in a timely manner. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you, Commissioner Quill. Commissioner Liang, any comments? All right.
No, actually, I kind of like the layout as proposed. It takes away from, when you get on Kingman, you get off on H Street, which is the main arterial. It relieves the traffic congestion a little bit, where it allows the patrons to kind of pull up into the driveway and get onto the site. Actually, as proposed, it might be advantageous in terms of traffic flow.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Jones, you already spoke. Did you have anything further to add, or were you good?
For me? Oh no, I'm good with the way things are proposed right now. I don't think we need the street vacation for now. Would staff be able to chime in on that?
I think that from my standpoint, I believe that the circulation works. The intent, the drive-through would be primarily access. Coming in off of H and then going down to Kingman and then come in on the site from the bulb, if you will, at the end of Kingman. I think that our recommendation stands. We support the project. We think that the variance, the reduction of the landscaping in the front to accommodate that. I think there's other measures, i.e., via landscaping and such, to cover or screen, if you will, the drive-through. And so I think that as proposed, is more than adequate.
Perfect. I'd like to make the motion to approve this agenda item.
If we'll hold off on that, we'll go through the rest of the commissioners. Commissioner Wilbur?
Oh, my apologies.
Yes, I'd like to kind of go back a couple of years in history. The Fifth Street corridor was prompted to be the greatest thing that ever happened to that area. And the plans never, at least, were made public. And does this even begin to go into a Fifth Street corridor plan? Because or the gateway, not the corridor, because this is an opportunity to expose a lot of good businesses to the freeway. And we need to look at that in conjunction with the Fifth Street corridor. I'm not aware that we've actually received any kind of plans on that. Have we looked at any of this or considered any of this?
If I may, and I want to be careful, how I describe this. As you are aware, that general vicinity of Fifth Street, essentially from the freeway up to about H, G, and what have you, there's a lot of vacant parcels on both sides of the street. You may recall that. A lot of those were former redevelopment agency properties, now city properties. There has been some agreement in place to sell those properties to a developer, and those plans will be coming forward here probably by year's end. Again, I don't want to speak about them specifically because it's an application that we have in-house, and I don't want to violate any Brown Act items. But to answer your question, yes, we are making movement towards revitalizing that Fifth Street corridor.
And is this Panda Express, is that inside the Fifth Street corridor?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Are we tying up something that on this project, if you will, this development in the future that we might regret because we haven't received or haven't analyzed a full impact on the entire corridor?
Well, all the projects are, they're processed individually, and we do review them cumulatively. So as projects come forward to you along this corridor here, there will be a consistency, as you know, in our reports. We do talk about, is a project consistent with the surrounding area and what's going on in the with the neighbors, is a consistent land use and those kinds of things. So yes, we do evaluate that.
Terrific. The other item, if anybody's ever been down Fifth Street at the In-N-Out Burger, there's a line forever getting into the place, anytime day or night, even 9:30 at night. Is this the drive-through on Panda Express? Is this set up to where we won't see that in the future, or is it where a number of cars that can come into the property first? Or
well, I mean,
frankly, if I may,
I was just going to say, frankly, from an economic development standpoint, it would be, the preference is to have cars in the drive-through rather a ghost town and it be empty. So when we evaluate projects, when we look at new businesses that come in, of course, we all want them to be successful, and we design it accordingly. When you talk about when you look at the site plan, the drive-through as an example, our code has requirements how many stacking spaces behind the menu board you're required to have, so that you don't spill out into the street and cause congestion and things. Obviously, there are some peak hours where maybe you can't avoid that, but it's we kind of evaluate this with all the projects. If you recall some of the past applications, it's just like, in the perfect world, the parking lot would be full, and maybe there would be an overflow. All that means is that the economy is doing well and the city is prospering through the sales tax and so forth. And so,
if I may jump in very quickly,
ahead, jump in and interrupt me. Go ahead.
Sorry, I can't kick you in the foot when we're on Zoom. No, just to answer the question, the way that the site's been laid out, and understanding the concerns about the adjacent development, There is no access for this property off of 5th Street. So there would be no backup there. And then the way that it's been designed, the entrance to the drive-through itself is really closest to the driveway off of that cul-de-sac. So while to Oliver's point, while there is sufficient stacking within the drive-through, any overage there would then be contained on site. And if it met the capacity on site, it would be down at the end of that bulb. So you wouldn't have the backup onto either 5th or 8th Street, even if they doubled the cars that they could normally fit.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Chang, do you have any comments?
No, I welcome Panda Express to our town. Looking forward to have Panda Express. But no, I can understand the concerns over the driveway. But when I looked at the plan, it's off Kingman, which is really a cul-de-sac side street. Sounds reasonably to me that it can work. But then that's also up to designers too. The architect and the plan design team make those decisions on the final. That's be part of building planning, building department review process. So after this, yeah, no, I'm for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Chang. Commissioner Jaramillo?
I just had a question for Lucy Gann, just to get clarification regarding the neighbor asking for that. I'm not sure what it's called, but the additional space or removal of the cul-de-sac. If that were to take additional time, like Oliver said, about 3 months, would that jeopardize the project in general?
Commissioner, thank you for asking. Yeah, we have been working with the city for quite some time now because of the complexity of this project. And it's also quite expensive to build. And but we're very, very committed to do that. However, because the complexity, we only have, I think it was like a 8 to 9 months due diligence period. We have talked to seller, asked him to give us a little more time so we can get through this, entitlement in a permanent period, but he doesn't want to, which I understand because it's a long time to have a property in escrow. He want to make sure he, plan his future and all that. So we actually set to close by this Friday. And that's why this meeting is very, very crucial. We want to make sure that we entitlement approved so we can build the Pan Express. Vacating the street just at this point is going to prove to be a lot more uncertainty for us. And we will probably have to either go back to seller, ask for extension. If he's not able to give us extension, we will have to cancel the deal.
Okay. All right, I understand. Thank you.
Thank you very much for asking.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Lucy. I was also, like my fellow commissioners, looking over the project. It looks like an amazing project and understand the need for reducing the 25 to the 15. I was looking at it on the map and the track map that you have in the planning maps. And it looks like a solid project. It really does access from H and goes around the building that exits from H. So access kind of from the 5th. I have no problems with this project. I think it'll be a great addition, and you're right next to another restaurant or In-N-Out that does really well. So I think Panda will do really well there as well. I will go down once more. Do the commissioners have any further comments to add to this? If not, I will close public hearing for this item and I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 3.
I'll second that.
I have a motion, I have a second. Stephanie, if I could have a vote roll call.
Of course. Commissioner Guerrero.
Aye.
Chair Sanchez.
Yes.
Commissioner Quill,
Aye.
Commissioner Liang,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Wolbert,
Yes.
Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
Commissioner Jaramillo.
Aye.
The item passes.
Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item number 4. If we could have the staff report, please.
Yes, Honorable Chairperson and Commissioners. Conditional use permit 20-09 has actually been withdrawn by the applicant. As the report indicated, there was a previous conditional use permit that was approved for this project. The applicant had thought that he might want to revise the site plan to incorporate a drive-through car wash. As of last week, they decided not to do that, to move forward with their existing. They actually have pulled their building permits. They're already getting ready to grade and so forth. And I think they just kind of changed their mind and wanted to move forward with what was originally approved. So we do have a written letter from them stating that they're withdrawing their application. So there's no action required on this particular item.
Okay, perfect. And I'll just consult with Albert. So do I have to open public hearing or close? No.
Nothing. We can just move on to the next item.
Wonderful. Then moving on to item number 5.
Yes, item number 5 is development permit type P 1802. It's for the property located on the south side of Inland Center Drive, just west of the Interstate 15 freeway. This item has been continued for the last couple of meetings. We thought we were going to be able to resolve a matter. I will tell you that there's a condition that we've been recommending as a result of the traffic study, if you will, that talks about improvements to the northbound lane or on ramp, I should say, to the 215, some restriping and so forth. And so there is not clarity as to how Caltrans would handle that mitigation measure. So from the side of caution, we want to have that resolved, make sure that the applicant is actually able to do that, obtain that the permits to do that improvement on Caltrans right away. We thought we were going to have something in time for this meeting. Unfortunately, we didn't. And so we're requesting this item be continued to the next meeting of August the 11th. Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver. So at this point, then I will open public hearing for this item. Does anyone wish to speak on it? If not, then I will close public hearing for this item and I will entertain a motion to move this to the next meeting.
I'd like to make a motion moving agenda item number 5 to the next regular Planning Commission meeting scheduled for August 11th.
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second. If I could have a vote roll call.
Commissioner Guerrero,
Aye.
Chair Sanchez,
Yes.
Commissioner Quill,
Yes.
Commissioner Liang,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Wolbert,
Yes.
Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
Commissioner Jaramillo.
Aye.
Okay, item is continued.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you. All right. And then we will be moving on to item number 6, which I believe is closed session.
No, it's if I may, commissioners, the next item, it's a non-public hearing item. And boy, how time flies. A year has gone by our planning commission bylaws. They state to in July, from July to July, we elect a new chair and vice chair. We're at that point in time. And so the appropriate steps at this point would be for the chair to entertain nominations, if you will. And, for first the chairperson, and then secondly, once that's completed, entertain motion or nomination, I should say, for the vice chair. Thank you.
Yes. So I just wanted to preface this with a huge thank you to all of you guys it's been an awesome year being able to be chair of this commission. An interesting one, as we had the longest meeting I think we've had in many a year, probably. My first meeting with Planning Commission was 15 minutes long, just approving the draft minutes, to my first meeting being 3 hours long.
Easy. It wasn't that long. Come on now.
You know, not too long, right? So it's been, and then having the Zoom meeting. So it's been great, and I've loved every minute. So this is exciting. All right. Just thank you to everybody.
Well, I think you do a great job, Elizabeth.
Oh, thank you.
I agree.
I have to say,
job.
Second that.
Sure.
I have to say it was great to see you grow, Elizabeth.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
That
it's
too.
it's been a wonderful experience for me, being able to be chair. Yeah, not having too much experience as a commissioner and then being made chair. I was like, well, how am I going to do this? A lot of advice from Oliver and from Stephanie. You guys have been invaluable to me. So
You're welcome.
it's exciting. Okay.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to make Commissioner Chang our chairman and
Oh,
Commissioner
no.
Jaramillo
Oh, no.
our vice chair.
I really like Elizabeth being the chair. She's doing such a wonderful job. Why do we have to change? I'm older. I don't like changes.
You don't have to change. You could renominate her. That's up to
My
them.
hair is turning all gray, Oliver. See this?
Yeah.
This
Okay.
is COVID hair. This is my real hair. It's all white. No dye.
I second that.
Well, I was hoping Mr. Quayle, Wilbur, Anthony Jones, somebody be the chair.
Don't tell me you're going to chicken out.
Jaramillo, Monique, Carlos.
I would like to nominate Mr. Quill.
I
love
would-
everybody's.
I would like Commissioner Quill as well, if he would be up to the challenge.
Well, I appreciate the offer, but I am still closing my business, and I may not be available through the full year. So I'm not sure where I'm heading. So I'm kind of in a mix up right now. So, but I sure appreciate the thought. Thank you.
I'd like to nominate myself as chairman and Commissioner Chang as vice chairman.
Oh,
I would second that.
I would support that as well.
Yes.
We have a vote.
Oh, oh no, yep, yeah, we can have a vote on this. I'm not sure exactly how if it's very official or we just say aye.
Yeah, we can. Well, let's go through a roll call, and we only need a simple majority.
Okay. Would you be amenable to that, Commissioner Chang?
Oh no, I'm actually honored you guys consider me. I really appreciate that. I'm humbled. I don't think I qualify, to be honest. I am deeply humbled. Thank you very much. No, but I'll go with the flow. You know, I have much to learn. I know the technical stuff pretty well, being an architect and work, but being a chair or vice chair for this commission, is that something I will have to learn? And I'll watch you and Anthony Jones do such a super job this past year.
Would you oppose to being a chair again, Commissioner Sanchez?
I would not oppose that. I've enjoyed being able to lead us in these meetings. So
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Commissioner Sanchez as chairman and myself as vice chairman.
I would support that. If that's sensible to everyone.
I would second that also.
Yeah, I second that too.
Okay,
third.
we have a second for that. Stephanie, if we could have a vote roll call.
Of course. So all in favor of the nomination for Commissioner Sanchez to be chair and Commissioner Jones to be vice chair, I will go through and call roll. Commissioner Guerrero?
Aye.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Aye.
Commissioner Quill?
Yes, aye.
Commissioner Liang? Commissioner Liang?
Excuse me, what was the recommendation again?
It was recommended that Commissioner Sanchez be chair and Commissioner Jones be vice chair.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilbert?
Yes.
Commissioner Chang?
Yes.
Commissioner Jaramillo? Okay. Congratulations.
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 Well, I am so glad.
You could smile again, Commissioner.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Thank you for the honor. And I was like, all right, well, okay, I'll take it.
No, I do thank you and Anthony. You guys are, being younger professionals. It's an excellent opportunity for you to grow your career. It's also, you do such a great job, and I don't mind being the backstage and give you guys my technical advice as a counselor.
We appreciate, I appreciate everyone in these meetings making more comments, being more engaged. I've seen us kind of ask the harder questions, and I've loved it because we're much more involved, and I think we're making a huge difference towards our community. So.
And I'd like to point out that I really am honored to be a part of your group because this is a very diverse group. It's pretty much half women, half men, and then the age gap from the senior. No, I'm not saying Mr. Wilbur nor Mr. Quayle. I'm just looking at Oliver's hair. And then we have
great vitality and great energy.
Yes. And we have different racial group. We have Hispanics, we have whites, and we have, Asians. Very well represented. I think it's a really good group. I'm very positive about it.
Okay.
Maybe just me.
No, this is exactly what I was saying, that we have the diverse group, that we're able to see different perspectives, and we all have different backgrounds. So that adds to the equation, that adds to the flavor of our meetings. So I am very pleased, and thank you guys for your confidence, and to another year, to another great year.
We'll press on.
Yes. So at this point, I think we'll go on to closing our meeting. Do we have any reports? Oh, yes, Mr. Wilbert.
Excuse me. I got something I wanted to kind of pass on to my fellow commissioners just for the future. Last meeting, I mentioned that the CEO of Lennar made a statement that LA County new housing sales was down 2 digits. Orange County was down 2 digits, but the IE was up 2 digits, which was really good. And then this past week, and I don't have my light on here, it's the Association of the National Association of Home Builders, very highly recognized organization. They did a study just recently of home sales in the United States, and this is the entire United States. And the reason I'm bringing it up, it's really cool. San Bernardino Riverside was 16th in the nation. That should tell us something. I mean, that's not to be taken lightly. And so I just wanted to bring that up so we can think about things coming up in the future, because we don't consider ourselves in that position, and we're not really, our city's not really using it properly, I don't think, but we have a possibility. So I just want to relay that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilbert. And that's actually wonderful news. That's showing that our city is doing well and that it has the potential. So yeah.
Great info. Thank you.
Any other reports from the commissioners? Oliver, anything to report?
Nothing new to report. We're still charging forward.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so then I will entertain an adjournment. So if anyone would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn until our next scheduled August 11th meeting.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I think it passes unanimously.
Have a good evening, commissioners.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Everyone, and thank you.
Thank you. Best of luck to you all.